Everyone, it's Zach back with a new mortgage video. Hope you're all having a great start to your 2024. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, welcome to my channel. If this is a returning visit, welcome back, where I'll try to demystify all things mortgage related. If you find this content helpful, please like and subscribe. So with it being a new year, I wanted to preview the 2024 year a little bit and specifically talk about what I think is going to be the most important question in 2024 as it relates to mortgages and the housing market in general. And that question is when the Fed will start cutting rates and by how much. So I want to start with an important distinction that mortgage rates and the Fed rate are not the same thing. The Fed rate is what the Fed sets for banks to lend to each other. So there's some trickle-down effect between that and mortgage rates. But, for example, right now the Fed funding rate is between 5.25% and 5.5%, whereas the average mortgage rate is 6.61%. The reason I bring this up is there was a recent article that a major economist was predicting the Fed funding rate to get down to below 3% by the end of 2024. And people took that to mean that mortgage rates would be down to 3% by the end of this year, if that happened. And that's not the case. The last two times the Fed funding rate was 3%, mortgage rates were between mid fives to low sixes, which is not to say that that's what they'll be this time, but they're not the same thing. However, just because mortgage rates would not be down to 3% if the Fed rate was down to 3% does not mean that level of drop, again, we're at 5.25% to 5.5% right now, would not be really good for mortgage rates, and it would drop mortgage rates significantly. However, I don't think that's realistic at all. And the Fed said that they're expecting to cut rates to 4.5% to 4.75% by the end of 2024. And while I could see them cutting a little faster than that, I think that's closer to the reality than even 3.5% to 3.75%, based on how inflation has been trending down and how the economy has been staying strong. Now, if one of those two things changes, if the economy starts to tank, if we see unemployment rise a lot, then I could see a change. Or if inflation starts coming down really rapidly, we did see a rapid decrease in PCE the last report. So if that continues at that same pace, then maybe we could see the Fed start cutting rates at the beginning of 2024, which for a while I've said I don't think is likely. But I think it's more likely we're going to see the first rate cut maybe in the middle toward the end of 2024, and then a few more cuts after that. If that happens, meaning there are no rate cuts at the beginning of 2024 and the Fed keeps their funding rate flat, while the Fed funding rate will remain flat, that will be bad for mortgage rates. I'm going to tell you right now, because the market, like I said, is expecting significant rate cuts this year. The market is expecting a rate cut in March. So if that does not happen, if the Fed keeps their rates flat, that's going to be bad for mortgage rates. So what I'm looking for this year is there data to support an earlier rate cut when they do eventually start cutting rates, which I think will happen? The question is going to be, how rapidly do they cut rates? Because they certainly could cut them at a rate of 0.5 point or even 0.75 point if they so choose. And how much will that affect mortgage rate? And how much does that bring more buyers back into the market? If we get rates down to 6%, is that enough to get a lot of these home buyers who have been waiting off the sidelines, or is it going to take more? And for this channel specifically, I'm going to try and post at least one video a week, a reel and a video ideally, but I'm not going to do a video every week on the rate market update. If you are interested in that, I would point you to my LinkedIn, where I post a newsletter every week. But for this channel, I'm going to be more focused on really significant changes in the economy, things that will, I think, dramatically affect rates, and just general mortgage news or mortgage tips and advice. As always, if you have any questions or comments on this video, or if there's any topics you would like me to touch on that I have not, shoot them below, or you can always call or text me on my cell phone or email me on my business email. But thanks for tuning in to this video, and I will see you next time.